So in today's session, we are going to discuss about uh, how and why Azure DevOps is useful for business analysts nowadays when we are transforming into the technical BA role. Because as a BA, when we are working on application development, irrespective of technology and domain, so we are using different tools, something like Jira, Rally, all that. So in regard, so when we are working with DevOps teams, both development and operations teams put together. So one of the prominent tool we are using for Azure DevOps. This is even using Azure DevOps, we can create some epics and user stories although. At the same time, creating some data pipelines, everything by the DevOps engineers can be done using Azure DevOps application. So in this regard, I'm going to discuss about why uh, and what exactly Azure DevOps is all about. So why it is matters for any business analyst and all that. So in what way this is being used and all everything. So that I'm going to explain. So if you try to understand about Azure DevOps, as I told you, this is one of the prominent application in the field of, especially on the cloud environment, that to the DevOps environment that we are transforming. Because earlier we used to have two different systems. One is two different processes. One is implementation, second is deployment and delivery. So implementation team as separate, deployment team as separate. That's how earlier it was. But now everything will be on the same platform. Both implementation as well as deployment will be done by the same team itself. This is where we have combined this environment called Azure DevOps environment has been introduced. For that, DevOps engineers will use different tools, something like Jenkins, Kubernetes, Ansible, Negois, all that. GitHub, right? So different tools will be used by them. In context to the application development, to process the requirements what business analyst has given in a form of user stories, everything we can write in Azure DevOps. So subsequently, they can create some data pipelines. So that flow of data, because any changes happens in between of the project can be done using this, so that you don't need to do it from because there won't be any sort of confusion further. So there is a data pipeline we create for the requirements, so that in between any changes or any new requirements are being added, so that everything can be added in between. That's how generally Azure DevOps is being used. Azure DevOps tool is being used. So as a BA, why it is required, as it is in the same manner like for Jira and Rally, even Azure DevOps can be used to prepare user stories, epics. At the same time, we can maintain product backlogs. Everything can be done being a BA, so that we have a better communication with the DevOps teams. So that whatever the changes that we can see in middle of the project or any new changes or new requirements that are to be added, so everything can be managed here. That's where generally, as a business analyst, now and then when we are working on the DevOps teams and all, having knowledge over the Azure DevOps is important. Now, as in when we already know as a BA, right? So we normally gather the requirements, documenting it, right? So we are aligning this with some business and technical teams, right? So all this is what generally the role of a BA we have. So as I mentioned you just now, Azure DevOps we are using for business analysts for these purposes. We can create some backlogs and requirement management can be done. We can write some user stories, epics, all this can be done here. Next, work item traceability, whatever the work as I told you, by having some data pipelines creations, like which is a CI/CD process, continuous integration and deployment and delivery integration purposes. So work items can be traceable easily. Even we can manage test cases, etc. Right? So because test cases will detail you what requirements we have taken, right? How many we have done so far. Everything can be managed under the test cases. So these are the key features for a BA that we need to do. When it comes to the requirements management, we can capture user stories and acceptance criteria as it is in the same manner as Jira. Next, we can link items to the features and epics, whatever we have, followed by managing priorities through a product backlog, all that. Next, collaboration and communication. So we can share workspace for business analysts generally. In real world, generally we do that, right? So we share workspaces for business analysts, DevOps teams, all that. Next, we have some dashboards, Kanban boards are also something better for a better visibility and all. Followed by any kind of real-time updates. Everything can be done under this regard. This is all about the collaboration and communication is. Next, traceability and compliance means it's an end-to-end traceability requirements. Whatever the tasks or test cases that we have taken, everything can be done end-to-end. Next, version history for documentation is also possible. At the same time, it will all be it's also be helpful in audits and compliances, etc. This is all about the traceability and compliances. All this. Even reporting and insights can be done because we can prepare some analytics and dashboards for requirement progress using Azure DevOps. At the same time, we can prepare some bundle charts for sprint backlog as a BA turned Scrum Master if we are into. So these bundle charts, sprint tracking, etc. can be done, followed by key performance identifications for stakeholders. Everything can be done under the reporting part. Finally, benefits for business analyst, which impose the requirement clarity. What requirements were identified, what requirements were taken, finalized, and which one are we moving further. At the same time, it also reduces the miscommunication among the team, enhances the stakeholder collaboration. At the same time, it also supports agile and DevOps teams for practices, etc. So these are the benefits that we see when we are working on Azure DevOps. So this is the overall understanding being a BA when we are working on Azure DevOps. We should be knowledgeable with, apart from any other tools and all, because of DevOps environment as in when we are working on. This is one of the important tool which we do. And in regard to this, how this Azure DevOps tools application works and all, I have posted a couple of videos in my channel already. I'll provide those link descriptions in the below to this video so that you can go through that.